Say make we talk about the small things, so. Forget about the big things, so. Say make we talk about the small things, so yeah.
Hello, my people out there. Welcome to Edu Radio, your talk magazine program where they committed to inform you and enlighten you on the rot we don't take place for our educational sector. Today, we day again for our Edu Radio studio. Now, me be your host, will be the team leader, will be Oman Dave. I day today to introduce to you our lecture with their ground again. Like I said, we don't do several subjects as we carry our own keep for sight. Sake of say, we love you, we love your children. Sake of say, may your children forget some refresher course to refresh their brains. Sake of say, don't stay house for long. We did committed to educational pursuit. Good education, quality education. When we say, even UNESCO, when they call United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, they preach. When even talk say, then they use this one to create and bring about global peace and security as a way of promoting education and cultural sciences to bring about within, so that the rule of law and justice go day gidigba for ground. Even the Sustainable Development Goals, where they preach all this way, to talk about quality and quality education. We go there waiting free from what primary to secondary. The importance of education cannot be overemphasized. With education, as you and me know, it will help to break the chain of poverty. With education, it will give you one kind of morale where they say you go move from what they call the ladder of socio-economic growth. With education, it will give us that tolerance to tolerate ourselves. No wonder federal government look and say, yes, we come from different background, different geopolitical location, with different religion. They form unity schools for us to come together. No wonder go on look and say, okay, it is important for us to set up things like the National Youth NYSC. May we come together. May students from different institutions come together, sit down, know themselves. To do what? Foster unity. Those are some of the things that education does. The quality education. How many schools for Nigeria they give the free education when they give? For Ghana, it is free. I said as far back as 1984 to this day. Nigeria, we could change our attitude. Make a note to talk too much. Our teacher, Debai. Teacher, take over. Over to you.
Plenty greedy man for there, oh yeah. Take a project, forget about the big things, say make we talk about the small.
Hello, good day. You are welcome once again. My name is Alozie Festus. Today, I will be your government teacher, and we'll quickly look at the topic we have for today: the structure and organization of government. All right. Yes, this is our beautiful topic for today: the structure and organization of government. You know, in our previous lesson, I told you that government of every country must be active. In other words, we define government. We define government as an institution by which activities involved in controlling a country, cities, and group of people. So government is an institution of the state. Government as an institution of the state may be defined as an agency or a machinery through which the will of the state is formulated, is expressed, and attained. In other words, if there is no agency to regulate the activities of the people, it means that government is not functioning. So we'll be looking at the structure and the organization of government. I told you that the organs of government, we use the government of Nigeria. The structure of government, or what we call that the government is divided into segments or organs of government. I mentioned earlier that the executives, the legislature, and the judiciary. Yes. We'll be taking it one after the other. I said we may define the organs of government that is assigned the functions of making law. We are taking the first one. We'll be taking, let's take the first one, the executives. The executives. Yes. Well, let's take the second one. Let's take this one because of our time. The judiciary, the executives, and the legislature. Let's take the second one, the legislature. And I said that the legislature is divided into two, the bicameral and the unicameral. Legislature. So when we talk about the unicameral, we are talking about a situation whereby the country practice one system of legislative function or one system of legislative house or body that makes the law. Only one system of the legislature that makes the law. We can take UK, Britain, for example. Now we have the second one, the bicameral. We said earlier on that Nigeria is one of the countries that practice bicameral system of legislature. It refers to legislature with two legislative functions. We have the Senate and the House of Representatives. So in Nigeria, we refer the Senate as the upper chamber, and we refer the House of Representatives as the lower chamber, and as well, you can call it the red chamber and the green chamber. You know, other countries that practice bicameral legislature, you have the United States. They also practice bicameral legislature. And in Nigeria, we know that the Senate is made up of 109 senates, meaning that each state of the federation, each state must have 3 seats each state, except FCT. You know that FCT is not a state that only have 1. So if you calculate it, it will give us 109. And we have the House of Representatives as well. And the number of the House of Rep is gotten from either 2 local governments or 3 local governments, bringing one person that will represent them. All right. We'll be looking at the function and importance of legislature. Functions and importance of legislature. I told you that one of the main functions of the legislature is to make law. They are saddled with the responsibility of making law. Secondly, they make sure that the law is being amended, the constitution, is being amended. If there is any issues that need to be amended, definitely the legislature will meet. The Senate and the House of Rep, they will meet and they will pass a bill and they will vote for it. It will go through the first reading, second reading, and the third reading. They will pass and they will take it to the president, and the president will assent to it. And number 2, the importance or functions of legislature is to control the executives through what we call check and balances. You know, definitely we have separation of powers. The executives works, the judiciary works, and the legislature also works in pari passu. They work in hand, making sure the government of the day functions. I told you earlier on that legislature is also saddled with the control of public expenditure, meaning that all public expenditure must be accounted for. You know, in Nigeria, if you're watching the Nigerian television, you hear public hearing. We hear about public hearing, meaning either the Senate or the House of Rep summoning a minister. So they have right to summon even the president to give an account of how he spends so amount of money, or how he do this or that. The legislature is also saddled with the responsibility of ratification of international treaties. Yes, Nigeria have treaties with other countries. We have treaties with other countries like United States, United Kingdom, just name them. The legislature also have the power to impeach the president and his deputy. Yes, they have the right. The Senate, just a few months ago, all of us heard how Donald Trump of the United States of America, how he escaped impeachment. And you know, in Nigeria, our case is not different. That a sitting president can be impeached, and it must be through the legislature by the majority vote. Other functions and importance of legislature are probing functions. Probing functions. They perform as settling panel to probe a certain minister, a certain PAMSEC, or anybody that is saddled with the affairs of governance or government in Nigeria. So they have the right to probe and making sure that they came out with a clean hands. You know, if you must go to equity, you must go with clean hands. Those who go to equity go with clean hands. They must make sure that they sanitize their hands very well, so that there will be no cockroaches in their cupboard. All right, we'll be looking at the advantages of unicameral legislature. Of course, I said earlier on that unicameral legislature is whereby one legislative function is in that country. One is this: it is a day with unitary states. I use United Kingdom as a case study. It gives room for faster process of making law. In other words, the ministers are also members of the legislature. So in terms of making law, it is faster to compare to bicameral legislature. Number two, it gives room for faster process of making law. In case they want to make law, they make their law faster. Unlike the bicameral, it will go on debate, a lot of debate. You know, in Nigeria, some sets are more populated or have more numbers of, you know, senators. Definitely before you come to an agreement, it will take time. Sometimes it requires lobby, that you have to lobby. And in unicameral legislature, the case is different. Secondly, it is cheaper to maintain. Yes, it is cheaper to maintain. You don't spend much money in willing or in buying the mind of your citizens. And let us see the disadvantages or criticisms of unicameral legislature. Unicameral legislature is unpopular. They are unpopular. Some countries don't use them. It does not allow bills to be properly debated before they are hastily passed. It does not allow bill, unlike the bicameral. When a bill is being passed, the one that sponsored the bill will read it out and debate will take place. You know, people to air their view. So in unicameral system of legislature, it does not allow that. It does not make possible for adequate. The laws will not be adequate. So it does not represent the mind of the people. It will not represent the mind of the people. Okay, we'll be looking at the second one, which is the bicameral legislature. And I said the bicameral, when we talk about we're talking about two. There are two, meaning the Senate and the House of Representatives. One of the advantages, it makes it possible for equal and adequate representatives. Every person, every member is being represented. In other words, every constituency, every senatorial seat in every state is being represented. So they are free to air their view. And the second one is that the second chamber check and prevent hasty and ill-considered passage. They are hasty bills. In other words, with the emergence of constituencies, definitely those hasty bills will not be passed. And number 4, the second chamber corrects any error and faulty legislation. They correct errors and faulty legislation before it can be passed. And the last one, the interests of the minority groups are properly protected. You know, in Nigeria, we have the majority and we have the minority. So the interests of the minority, those who have less constituencies, definitely, if they are to say, they will be heard. They will be heard. And lastly, we can go through our evaluation passage. To evaluate the lessons so far, I will urge us to define or to find out the meaning of the executives, the word executive, legislature, and the judiciary. At the same time, differentiate between bicameral legislative and unicameral legislature or legislative. Differentiate between the two, bicameral legislature and unicameral legislature. And lastly, in our evaluation today, what are the advantages and disadvantages of unicameral legislature? Remember, uni is 1, while bicameral is 2. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of unicameral legislature? I hope you have enjoyed the lesson so far, and I hope definitely you have something to say for those of us who are preparing to write our WAEC, to write NECO and JAMB, and some of us who are preparing to aspire higher. I hope you have learned a lot. Thank you for listening. Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, we are still on the topic structure and organization of government. We have treated the first one, the legislature. I told you that the legislature is divided into 2, the bicameral and the unicameral legislature. We'll be looking at the executive arm of government or organ of government. The executive is the organ of government responsible for the implementation, execution, or enforcement of laws, policies, and directives made by a given legislature or legislative arms of government. In other words, the legislature make laws, as I said earlier on, they make law for each country or for her country, while the executives carry out the law in implementing it, in executing it, in making sure that policies are being carried out. So we are going to look quickly at the functions and importance of the executives. 1, execution of laws. You know, the legislatures are the ones to make the law. And when they make the law, they send it to the executives. And the executives will go through those laws, scrutinize it, and assent, meaning that the president of the federation will have a signatory, meaning that there have been a seal approving that it had become a law. That is number 2, giving assent to bills. Any bill that is being sent to the executives by the legislature, the president will assent to those bills. Another function is that the executive's function performs military functions. The executives perform military functions. Now you know that the military and the paramilitary are under the executives. And number 4, they maintain law and order. The executives maintain law and order. Let's take, for instance, during this lockdown, just to say yesterday, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, lifted a lockdown order, partial lifting of the lockdown, not full. The lockdown was partially lifted, and he also gave 2 weeks total lockdown in Kano. This is the work of the executive. You know that nobody can do that except the president of any country. And we have the formulation of policies. The executives as well formulate policies. Policies are being formulated by the executives. We have another one, that they maintenance of external relations. The executives make sure that the relationship between Nigeria and other countries are in a cordial relationship. We have, relationship with many countries, if not all the countries in the whole world, but a lot of countries have one relationship or the other. It can be trade, it can be on economy, it can be on agriculture, it can be on military or policing. So these are the work of the executives. And we can as well see that the executives appoint judicial officials before anyone will be appointed. The executives is only one saddle in appointment, and at the same time termination of any appointment. And the last, not the least, the executives is also saddled with the responsibility of administration, running today's every day of the country, day to day of the country. Every activities of the country is being run by the executives. All right, we'll be looking at the last one, the judiciary. Judiciary, as we all know, is saddled with the responsibility of interpreting the law. They interpret the law. It is the third organ of government responsible for interpretation and application of laws. When laws are being broken or violated, and adjudication. When laws is being violated, or when law is being broken, the judiciary came in and performed their function. Let's see one of the functions and importance of judiciary. One, interpretation of law. As I said earlier on, they interpret the law. For those of us who are ignorant of the law, sometimes minor offenses, you may not really know that such offense can lead you to prison, or can lead you to, that can deny you to one or two certain things in the country. Secondly, dispute adjudication. These are the functions of the judiciary. The judiciary also serves as a guardian of the Constitution. They guide the legislatures in making sure that the Constitution of their country is not being tampered with. And judiciary is also saddled with the responsibility of punishing the law offenders. You can remember a few years ago that some of the governors were charged with corruptions or misappropriation of funds while they were serving as state governors. We don't want to mention names, and we know their names. And today, some of them are, in, let's say, 10 years imprisonment. Some are serving 5 years imprisonment. The law have taken its course. Who are those that interpreted the law, that also enforced the law? Is the judiciary. The judiciary is also saddled with the responsibility of advising the president. You know, of course, that the president, through his Minister for Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, definitely He's the one that is guiding the president. So no other person does that better except a functional judiciary. Now let us see some of the problems that are facing the judiciary. Let's take Nigerian judiciary as a case study. Lack of adequate funding by the executives. Yeah, the executive always makes sure that the work of the judiciary is being, handcuffed somehow by making sure that they release a little fund in funding them. In other words, making them to have their way. The executives having their way over the judiciary. And court conjunction that causes delay of justice. This is another problem facing the judiciary. Poor remuneration of salaries. With the judiciary, some of them are being paid peanuts. And we have the next one, lack of adequate judicial personnel. Inadequate judicial personnel. And the next one is the number of court is insufficient. In Nigeria, one of the reasons why judgment is being denied is because of the insufficient courts, especially down to the grassroots. Political control of judiciary. Politicians control judiciary. You can agree with me what is happening in Nigeria in the past 5 years, how the judiciary have been on the pages of newspapers. Some of them were found wanting of collecting one bribe or the other, and they know about the story. And the last, not the least, the corrupt judiciary is being dealt with without mercy. The corrupt ones are being dealt with without mercy by the executives. So on this note, I think we come to the end of our discussion for today. Once again, I hope you really, get what is expected of you to get, meaning that all I have downloaded to you have been stored to your CNS, down to your brain. And I pray that on that day, WAEC will be asking you questions. You don't have any option than to answer them correctly. Once again, in case you have any comments or questions or contributions, you can, go through our link, Twitter handle, and our Instagram, as well as our Facebook, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/eduradio.ng. You can as well go through our Twitter handle and our Instagram, eduradio.ng. Thank you and God bless you for watching.
I hope you had a good time for this, our Edu Radio Studio. If you reach us on our Facebook page, will be facebook.com/eduradio.ng. If you reach us, Kukuma, for our Twitter handle, will be @eduradio.ng. Abi for Instagram, will be eduradio.ng, or will be YouTube, will be eduradio.ng. What about, say, you want to see what you don't do, tote. You go back to our own web address, will be www.eduradio.com.ng. I hope so you had a good time with our teacher. Make you come out to, make you follow us, make you see our like. As you follow us, like them, follow us, share them. It's possible say that your brother will be village, will be somewhere, we won't give up. Sake of say no school for them. This thing will help them in a way. Make we join body to take our education forward. And now me and you get them. Thank you very much. Till we see you on another day. Bye.